fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Venin from the Transformers Age of the Primes line from Hasbro. So this guy was originally called Venom back in the day, but for obvious reasons that copyright is not held by Hasbro anymore. And so now they're calling him Venin, but I'm still going to call him Venom because that's the character's name. And this is just an obvious attempt to skirt copyright, and it's a stupid name. So anyway, I never had any of the Deluxe Insecticons as a kid, but I always remembered Venom because I had one of those like storybooks with an audio cassette, and he was heavily featured, and it was always funny because those books were always done where the Transformers were drawn like exactly from the box art, where they just looked like the toys. You know, they weren't anything like the animation models, and this guy never showed up in the cartoon anyway. But I always remember him from that storybook because I, read that all the time as a kid. And so I'm excited to finally have a Venom toy. This is the first time I've ever actually had a figure for this character that looks, like he did in that storybook. So I'm pretty excited about it, but pretty standard packaging here. The plastic window got some nice artwork of the robot mode and the bug mode here on the front. Close up of that same robot mode artwork on this side, and then over here you got your slice of the Ring of Prime statue. Nothing going on the bottom, just says Venin. And yeah, on the back here we got some nice product shots of the robot mode and the bug mode. Pretty excited for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and get them out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Venom out of the packaging, and I have to say, he looks pretty good. I think they did a nice job with him. He's not too overly complicated, but they nailed the color scheme and the original head sculpt replication. I think they did a great job with that. That menacing visor with the face mask, and you still have the two giant bug eyes on the side. Paint detail here on the chest looks good. I like that Decepticon symbol. Very nice. Accessories, pretty much 100% accurate to the original toy. Speaking of 100% accurate to the original toy, these wings here, like in the abdomen, I know it's original toy accurate, but I don't know. I wish they could have done something better, even if they could have just shifted them a little bit further back or something. I mean, I guess technically if you wanted to pose these, to the side down here or something, so it doesn't get in the way of the arm articulation, but it kind of still does. I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just feel like I wish there was a way, or maybe even if I could just like unpeg them and then peg them on the back or something if I chose to, like having that option. But unfortunately, just not the case. So it would be cool if, because I feel like this is not really, it doesn't really need to be super integrated. You know what I mean? Like I feel like this could just peg in just like any other accessory pegs in to a 5mm port. And that way, if I wanted to just unpeg this and attach it to the forearms or attach it on the back somewhere or the sides of the legs or something, I think that would have been a nice option. That way, G1 purists who want to keep it there absolutely can. But if you're someone like me who just, wants to pop it out so it's not in the way of everything, you'd have that option as well. But unfortunately, not the case. But I still think he looks good. I mean, I love that color scheme. They definitely nailed that. And you can kind of play with the wings to kind of get them a little bit out of the way, or you can move them as needed. Like if you want to do something with the arms, you can kind of move them down temporarily and move it back. And I think aesthetically, like if you just kind of pose them like this, I think that looks cool. It's just, it's right in his armpit, and it's just not super convenient. The head is on kind of a double hinge system here, mostly for transformation, but if for some reason you wanted to utilize that for articulation, you certainly could. Otherwise, it can spin from side to side. You have a hinge and a rotation here at the shoulder, bicep swivel, 90 degrees there at the elbow. No wrist swivel because it just kind of folds down. And for whatever reason, this one's not so bad, but the hand on mine, you can see how it kind of like, it wants to be in one spot or the other. It doesn't want to kind of, well, now it's going to, of course, on camera, but I've also had some problems with it popping out of there already. You can kind of see it's almost too wide for the bracket. Let me move the X piece out of the way here. So you can see how it kind of is pushing this part of it down. It's like it should be a little bit thinner, but probably because of the size of the 5mm port, the hand had to be this big, which means this piece had to be this big. So really this should be wider, but I guess it doesn't fit with the transformation. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but you can see that the hand piece is a little too wide for the bracket there. So hopefully that's not an issue going forward. Do we have a waist swivel? Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. It looks really like perfectly integrated, so it almost looks like it's not there, but you do have a waist swivel. You have these, you know, little feet or legs here on the back. Technically, if you wanted to orient these differently, you certainly could. I kind of think they look a little cooler up. Just me personally, but again, you can do whatever you like with them. And then this almost kind of would allow you to have the wings more out like this, and then they'd be a little bit less in the armpit area. So just an idea. Maybe do something like that. That's a little better. Again, it's completely your choice. And I do like that these all have little ball joints, as you can see. So you can do whatever you like with them. If you want to do something like that, you can. If you like the more kind of traditional of just having them straight down, you can certainly do that. And that's about as compact as you can get. I mean, I guess technically you could have these go over. I wouldn't do more than a second one, though, because it's getting a little too... I think it would put too much stress on the ball joint. But again, up to you. Whatever you like. You have some options there. You can kick pretty far forward. Kick decently far back. You might have to move some of these legs around, but I'll just turn this to the side so you can see that the movement is there, even if you bring it out a little bit. Kick out to the side all the way, so really nice hip movement there. Thigh swivel, 90 degrees there in the knee. Crazy amount of ankle tilt, because for the transformation, it actually goes all the way around. So good amount of ankle tilt there. And you can technically move the foot a little front and back because of the transformation. So pretty good articulation. Accessory, simple green gun. And you already saw the axe head, which he can just hold. Or you can combine them together like so. And then have him hold this as a proper axe. So you have a couple options there, which is cool. Yeah, overall, I think he looks pretty neat. Good articulation, good paint applications, good color scheme. I will say you can see how this kind of, like, you have to kind of pull these out, and they're kind of tempted to go back in. You see how they line up perfectly with the thigh there? That's for the transformation. But you want to kind of kick them out so that they're kind of like knee pads in the robot mode. And he's got decent heels. He shouldn't have too much trouble standing, just kind of finding the balance. But yeah, overall, I like him. And we have a group shot here of all four of the Deluxe Insecticons. Venom actually has the distinction of being the only one to get his own unique mold, with Chop Shop being Shrapnel, Ransack being Kickback, and Barrage being Bombshell. So I don't know if they'll try to make something else out of Venom. I don't really know what else they could, but they usually like to try, so we'll see. But it could be that, you know, this is a one and done just for Venom, and he's the only one to really get his own unique mold, which is actually pretty cool. And then here's a group shot of all 7 of our Insecticons all together. I think this is really cool. It's fun to have this little sub-army of insect Decepticons here. They look really great together, and I'm happy that we finally have all 7 of them now. So getting into Venom's transformation, we are going to start by taking the head and kind of extending that up like I showed previously. You can kind of bring the wings around and just kind of have them hang out for now. Put the arms straight out to the side. And you have to rotate these like this so that the fist points up. And then you have to kind of bend these down and accordion them up onto themselves to kind of fill in this little gap there. And then you're going to just go ahead and fold the fist down like so. So you want to kind of collapse the arm up like that. It can be a little difficult just because all the joints on mine are really tight. And also it wants to push the whole arm assembly in, which we will do in a minute, but we have to do this first. Yeah, the joints on mine are just really tight. I'm hoping over time that gets a little bit easier. So then you can go ahead and push these all the way in like this, and then kind of bring the head. You can see how there are 2 giant slots there on the back of the head and these 2 tabs right here. So we will bring the arms in And we're going to just kind of lightly leave them down here for now. I'm not going to peg the head in yet, but you can kind of get the insect legs out of the way as well. Kind of pose them, but we'll come back to them because we got to do the feet here real quick. So we are going to rotate these kind of in like this, and then kind of push that up so like you can see that all sits flush. Fold in the foot, and then this part is going to go all the way around like that. And then you're going to flip this around and collapse this in. And you can see here that there's kind of like a nub on the back of the forearm. If I get these legs out of the way right there, that has to kind of sit in this channel. So you kind of have to bring this around, and then it'll all kind of sit like that. And then this will kind of tab in to a little spot down here on the bottom of the crotch. So again, bring this up, fold this in, spin around, bring this in, and then kind of make sure, and it'll feel like you're, sometimes it feels to me like I'm breaking it, but you got to really click that all the way in, and then make sure this lines up. But that will click all the way in, and then they'll click together down here as well. And these two will peg into each other. Sometimes it's easier to drop it down on top of it instead of pushing them together. Like it's, you know, it's kind of a peg that you push on top of it. So sometimes that's a little easier, but once you're all good, that will all be correctly oriented. And then you'll be able to peg the head on there very simply and then kind of push this piece down. At this point, it's just a matter of positioning the bug legs how you would like, and then swiveling the wings around because this part should be on the top. So the part with the little peg should be on the bottom. So just swivel that around. And then if you want, you can kind of put them down together if you like that look. If you want to make it look like he's mid-flight, you can pose him up like that, whatever you like. And that is pretty much it. That is Venom in bug mode. So honestly, not bad. I think they did a pretty good job of having the legs and the arms all kind of condensed down and become like the thorax for the bug. But it doesn't necessarily just look like the arms and legs are hiding, like because everything's orange and all the other parts are, you know, hidden. I think that works pretty well. I think the wings look pretty good. Even the little bug legs down here I'm fine with. The only part that really takes me out of it is, to me, that's very obviously the robot head just upside down. Like if you look at it from the side, it's not that big a deal. You can see the big bug eyes and you can kind of, that completes the illusion. But if you look at it from the front, that's just the robot head upside down. I wish, and I know the original toy was like this as well, but if there was some kind of visor or some piece, or maybe something in the chest that could come down and cover the visor. Because I feel like if you could cover the visor, I feel like that would more complete the look of the bug. Or maybe have that part like sit in or something, or angle downward, or who knows, something. Or maybe even just if this piece could just like rotate in on itself. So like this part just kind of flipped around 180. I don't know if there's even clearance for that, but that's the only part that takes me out of it. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty cool little bug mode. Oh, and you can store the accessories if you want. You can, they just show you taking these apart and just popping these on the side for storage very simply. Or if you wanted to attach either one of them up here, you can definitely attach the gun. I think you can do the blade as long as you just kind of angle it in a way that, you know, the blade hanging off the side doesn't get in the way of anything else. But yeah, if you do it like straight back like that, you can put them up there as well. Either way, I think it looks kind of goofy, so I would just put it off to the side. But yeah, he's a decent little bug. Pretty cool. So I think Venom's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I've never had the original toy, so I don't really have something to compare it to. But just being a cool Insecticon, I love the color scheme. I always have. I think the accessories are good. Paint applications, limited, but they get the job done. I feel like the ones you need are there. Transformation is fun. I will say, like I said, some of the joints on mine, especially in the arms, are a little tight. Hopefully that loosens up over time. But other than that, yeah, he's pretty fun to transform. Not too difficult to go back and forth. Accessories, again, simplistic, but very faithful to the original G1 toy, and I think they get the job done. So I think it's neat. I think he's fun. He has the distinction of being the only Deluxe Insecticon to get his own mold, at least for now, which is kind of neat, and it's just fun to complete the team. So I'm glad that they didn't forget about this guy. They went back and did him. I do kind of wish he had light piping. He's got all this fantastic translucent plastic in the head here, but just no light piping. So kind of a bummer there. But again, these are minor nitpicks. Ultimately, I do think he's fun. And if you have the rest of the Deluxe Insecticons, I think he's definitely going to be something you want to add to your collection to complete that team. So yeah, I think he's great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.